Welcome to Bad at Goodbyes. Each week on our show, we spotlight species from the IUCN Critically Endangered Red List. These are plants and animals with decreasing populations, nearing the edge of extinction. We'll share species research, information, and conservation proposals. And then we'll spend a chunk of the show opening and holding a space for contemplation and awe. We'll form a kind of meditative sound bath, a soundscape of gentleness, quietude, reflection, and perhaps mourning. So there's a very low likelihood that any of these species will survive the 21st century. And so perhaps we might acknowledge their passage with a moment of our attention, a recognition of our kinship, and with a commitment to personal and systemic change. Thank you for listening. In today's show, we consider the smooth horsehair lichen. The smooth horsehair lichen is a critically endangered lichen native to northeastern North America, specifically maritime Canada. Smooth horsehair lichen is part of the Bryoria genus. This is a group of lichen known for their thread-like appearance, hence the name horsehair. It is a pendant fruticous lichen, pendant meaning that it typically grows hanging from the surfaces that it lives on, and fruticous meaning that it has a shrubby or hair-like appearance. The species is an epiphyte on coniferous trees. So this means that these species grows on other plants, specifically cone-bearing trees, using them for support, but not taking nutrients from them, like, say, a parasitic species would. So epiphytes are just plants that live on other plants, but do no harm to their host. The main body of the lichen, called the thallus, is light greenish gray to almost white, growing to lengths of 1 to 4 inches and spreading to widths of 2 to 8 inches. The thread-like structures of the thallus are composed of hypha. These are tiny tubes that intertwine to form a network, providing the lichen with its shape and structure, and absorbing water and nutrients from the surrounding environment. The outer layer of the thallus is called the cortex. Unlike many other lichen, the cortex of the smooth horsehair lichen is smooth. The cortex is a protective layer, shielding the lichen from harsh weather and preventing it from drying out. Beneath the cortex lies the photobiont layer. Lichen are a composite organism, a symbiotic partnership between fungi and algae. So in the case of the smooth horsehair lichen, it forms a symbiotic relationship with green algae from the Trebuchet family as its photosynthetic partner. The algae uses sunlight to produce food sugars and contributes some to the fungus. The fungus, in this photobionic layer under the cortex, provides a safe habitat, water, and minerals to the algae. I was curious how the algae, which I think of as like pond or ocean dwelling, and the fungus, for like lack of a better term, meet. Like, how does this relationship form? How does Trebuchet reach, like the branches of those tall coniferous trees where the horsehair lichen grows? The most likely way is through wind dispersal. Trebuchet cell fragments carried by the wind. Another possibility is that animals, such as birds or insects, might inadvertently carry Trebuchet cells on their bodies or in their droppings. And rain can also help disperse the cells, splashing them from one surface to another. And so once a Trebuchet cell lands on a suitable surface, like the bark of a coniferous tree, it can potentially encounter a compatible fungal partner and start the process of forming a new lichen thallus. Smooth horsehair lichen employ both sexual and asexual reproduction strategies. The primary mode is sexual. It produces spores, which are like analogous to like the seeds of other plants. The lichen develops specialized structures called apothecia that are these like quarter-inch yellow-orange disc shapes. Spores form within the apothecia, which are released to be dispersed primarily by the wind, though also by animals, rain, and gravity. The spore lands in a suitable location, encounters a compatible algae partner, it can germinate and develop into new lichen. The smooth horsehair lichen, unlike many others in the lichen family, lacks specialized asexual reproductive structures. But it can still reproduce asexually through fragmentation. When small pieces of the lichen thallus break off and are dispersed, again by wind, animals, water, or gravity, they can, if they land in a suitable environment, develop into new lichen. This is challenging because the fungus and algae partners both have to successfully establish in the new location. The fungal spores must accident upon a compatible algae partner, or when reproducing asexually, the fragmented thallus pieces must contain both partners in the right proportions. And then, of course, they have to be dispersed to a suitable habitat with appropriate light, moisture, and nutrient conditions to survive and grow. The horsehair lichen demonstrates specific adaptations to these reproductive complexities. Its pendulous growth form, because it hangs, aids in wind dispersal of both spores and fragments. And the lichen's protective cortex allows it to tolerate a wide range of environmental conditions, which of course also increases its chances of successful establishment in new locations. Lichen, like all living things, need energy and nutrients to survive. In other plant species, photosynthesis provides energy and the roots uptake soil nutrients. In the case of the smooth horsehair lichen, energy is contributed by its symbiotic algae partner, and nutrients are absorbed directly from the atmosphere. Rainwater, fog, and dust particles carry dissolved minerals, and when these come in contact with the lichen's thallus, they can be absorbed directly through its surface. The lichen's cell walls contain specialized molecules that can bind to specific ions of essential elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And this ion exchange allows the lichen to actively take up these nutrients right out of the air. But this direct absorption of nutrients from the atmosphere also makes lichen highly sensitive to air pollution. Pollutants can accumulate in the lichen's thallus, harming both the fungus and the algae. Scientists often observe lichen as bioindicators of habitat air quality. In the dream, to breathe, to drink, to eat, and in the dream to feel it everywhere. Inside myself, outside myself, tasting fog, drinking dewdrops, the wind passing through me and is of me, is in me. To be so close to the world. To be so soft to it. To be each day so near to the mechanics of living. In the dream. Historically found across the New England coast from Massachusetts to Maine and then north into Canada, today the smooth horsehair lichen is found only in 7 sites in the Canadian provinces of New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Quebec. This is the North American Atlantic Maritime Ecozone, characterized by its proximity to the ocean and a maritime climate with moderate temperatures and high humidity. Summers are temperate, with high temperatures reaching the mid-70s, while winters dip into the teens. The region receives an annual rainfall of 50 inches on average. In this exposed coastal environment, the lichen is found on the branches of coniferous trees, specifically the balsam fir. These are rugged coasts with rocky cliffs and dense forests of evergreens. The air is often misty and salty. The forest canopy provides shelter for a variety of birds, warblers, thrushes, and woodpeckers, some of which use the lichen as nesting material. In the forest understory, there are ferns, mosses, and wildflowers like bunchberry and starflower. Squirrel, chipmunk, black bear, moose, and deer roam the forest floor. In this habitat, the smooth horsehair lichen is a food source for small invertebrates, such as insects and mites. Provides a microhabitat for other organisms, trapping moisture and organic matter, creating favorable conditions for other flora like mosses and liverwort. And it plays a role in nutrient cycling. Because it accumulates airborne nutrients, when it eventually decomposes, it slowly releases those nutrients back into the soil. Historically, anthropogenic, which means human-caused, anthropogenic habitat loss was the primary driver of the smooth horsehair lichen's decline. Human development and resource gathering, specifically decades of overlogging of its coniferous forest home, have substantially reduced its available habitat and fractured its population. Today, the looming threat is human-induced climate change. Shifting humidity levels affecting rain, dew, and fog, and more intense weather events pose risks. Research on related lichen species suggests that changes in temperature and moisture can drastically alter their abundance. Future warmer, wetter winters, that's the predicted effect of climate change in the Canadian Maritimes, will lead to further population declines. There's also preliminary scientific concern that air pollution is a contributing factor. Other lichen in its family have shown high sensitivity to pollutants, and these species that have been studied have been shown to be declining in areas with poor air quality. This is because, as you'll remember, the lichen directly absorbs elements from the air, taking these pollutants into its body. Four of the populations of smooth horsehair lichen are found in protected Canadian national parks, but the actual species itself is not otherwise legally protected either in the US or in Canada. The smooth horsehair lichen has been considered critically endangered on the IUCN Red List since 2021. And their population is currently in decline. Our most recent counts estimate that less than 30 smooth horsehair lichen remain in the wild. Information for today's show was compiled from the Botanical Journal of the Linnaean Society, Volume 194, Issue 4, the Global Fungal Red List, the journal Persoonia, Volume 42, Northeastern Naturalist, Volume 27, Monograph 16, the U.S. National Park Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Wikipedia, and the IUCN. So in a moment, I would like to perform some music in hopes of opening a space to be in contemplation of the other lives with whom we share our earth. This music is not like for the horsehair lichen. I don't know if horsehair lichen even listen to music. And I don't want it to be a means to like extract meaning from this species or put meaning upon it. Instead, I want to create the sound and take this space to express my human awe and to consider my own relationship to other life. And so I will create and sit in the space of sound and awe and reflection, and I warmly invite you to join me. I honor the life force of the smooth horsehair lichen. I will carry its human name in my record. I am so grateful to have shared time on our planet with this being, and I lament the ways in which I and my species have harmed and diminished this species. And so, in the name of the smooth horsehair lichen, I pledge to reduce my consumption and my carbon footprint and my wastefulness. I pledge to acknowledge and attempt to address the costs of my actions and inactions. And I pledge to resist the harm of plant and animal kin or their habitat by individuals, corporations, and governments. I forever pledge my song to the witness and memory of all life, and to a broad celebration of biodiversity, and to the total liberation of all beings. This has been Bad at Goodbyes. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let's take care of each other and all of our kin.